No, I am not
Unalived.
And no, I haven't
Quack.
fucked off after getting a girlfriend either. I went on a holiday. After all, I now live in a beautiful country that knows no winter, no Karens, no cops that arrest you solely to fill a quota, food that tastes like food, and people who mind their own goddamn business while simultaneously being incredibly open and kind should you ever find yourself in the need of getting into theirs. So I wanted to see more of it. And as much as I love forcing these little part newscast, part frivolous satire, part soul striptease thingamabobs into existence, if you hadn't figured it out yet, in order for us to laugh and cry together about the pitiful state of affairs, I have to go to very, very dark places. I'm still German, I don't do
Fecal matter.
half. Always use the entire. It's bought and paid for, you might as well use it. So I decided for once to take my own advice and prioritize my own well-being. And that concludes our first installment of Oversharing Personal
Fecal matter.
You Didn't Ask For with the Red Pill Fairy. And now, onwards to what we're all here for.
XYFM. The news.
Scotland. The Scottish government has scraped a pilot scheme to hold trials for serious sexual offences without a jury. For context, Scotland is also the only country where you can be not just either convicted or acquitted, but also not proven, which is just vagina speak for we can't prove
Fecal matter.
but you're still guilty because you don't have.
The donkadongs.
The project was originally proposed due to the vaginisty taking ill to the fact that other offences hold a conviction rate of 84%, while
Unsolicited harassment.
accusations are only leading to a conviction 50% of the time. Interesting. One would think that a conviction rate of 50% for a crime of which the accusation is utter fabrication, 97% of the time, is way too high. But, it doesn't have to make sense. It just has to, because vagina or something. The whole vaginally derived miscarriage of law was originally based on the assumption that jurors are often being swayed by outdated
Unsolicited harassment.
myths and a lack of understanding to what amounts to consent. Among these beliefs are, you might want to be seated for this one, and I quote, that genuine victims would try to fight off or escape an attacker, that they would immediately report the crime to the police rather than waiting months or even years to tell anyone, and that they should behave emotionally in court. Well, I don't know about you, but I kind of like those myths. Justice Secretary Angela Constance, oh, by the way, this is what those misandric gracious females spearheading this rotten notion look like. Why are it always the kind of females no self-respecting man would want to be caught
Unalived.
or alive f***ing them, screeching the loudest about?
Unsolicited harassment.
Well, we know why that is. It's called projection and penis envy, but that's a discussion for another day. Justice Secretary Angela Constance previously said that there was a compelling body of evidence that jurors were indeed influenced in their verdicts by these myths. Translation. A petty old cunt, gracious female, had a feeling, and now the world has to change its ways to accommodate her little fifis. And yes, there is probably a reason out there to why fifis rhymes with feces. Now that we have covered all that, let me tell you why it doesn't really matter. Juryless
Unsolicited harassment.
trials would have only been the everything bagel on top of the gynocentric
Fecal matter.
sandwich we call justice. In many places, innocent until proven guilty, as well as basic human rights for men, have already been suspended for a long time. You don't even get to face your accuser, cause that would be an inconvenience to the holy vagina. Demanding a woman to prove her accusations is considered too great an inconvenience, and a man presenting proof of his innocence is considered an affront to the holy vagina. With many judges already throwing out exonerating evidence at their leisure. Prepaid solutions, remember? I only really see three ways of dealing with this individually. A. You can continue to delude yourself that these things don't concern you because you are a good man. A real man. And all those mentally unstable fentanyl-written goth
Term for sexually promiscuous female generally considered derogative.
you keep mounting behind the Walmart dumpster would never do that, because they are different. B, you can do what I ended up doing before I left the West and make sure that any and all interactions with the fairer monkeys in shoes never extend past the point of, that's all very interesting, Becky, but can I please have my change now? You're holding up the line. Or C, hashtag passport bros! Whee! United States. A new vaginally derived brain fart has been deployed in our heinous gender war. The 4
Term for sexually promiscuous female generally considered derogative.
movement. Women are now 4 times as obnoxious while being 4 times as overpriced. The 4B movement. You mean Korean feminism. So Western feminism was no longer good enough for all those pale and pudgy femcells with cat litter syndrome. Huh? This is cultural appropriation. Somebody call HR! Anyways, women just went from literally wetting the bed over how hot it is that Henry Cavill rather plays video games than listen to their ramblings about climate equality and fragile masculinity to just metaphorically wetting the bed. Because this is a self-owned so utterly void of self-awareness, who or what else could have devised it but the puny minds of misandric harpies. I initially didn't want to go there because who gives a
Fecal matter.
about women? And it is tedious enough fighting off the clowns who think you need to be or mustn't be whatever is expedient to cover up their lack of genuine arguments at any given moment. I don't even dare to imagine the hissy fits coming my way should anything I say ever be misconstrued as
Dating advice.
But a good friend on XY Crew not just suggested it, but lovingly curated the list of, I believe we call them, talking points, I shall now present to you for your amusement. And if you still live on the blue side of things, be amusement. Having friends who give a
Fecal matter.
is such a blessing. If you ever want to try that for yourself, join us at XY Crew. Link in the description. So the 4 B's of the 4B movement are no dating, no marriage, no sex, and no having children with men. I must say I got a little stuck on the with men part. So are they going to have children with their cats now? Well, it's feminism. It doesn't have to make sense, I guess. Now what could possibly happen if women stop whacking around indiscriminately? The abortion rates would go down. And so would unwanted pregnancies. And so would entrapment babies. Men have been telling women to not have children they neither want nor can afford with men who don't want them or the child for, well, since forever. So yeah, no more spreading them legs for any horny, mentally and morally ambiguous boy numb enough to up your grotto of desire. Oh no, anything but that. Reduction in STDs. 1 in 3 women in the West now has the nasties. They out-debauchered gay guys in that regard years ago. Formerly the go-to poster child for leaving itchy souvenirs behind, thanks to feminism, we had to pass on that questionable accomplishment to the girls. 12 years ago, I remember protests from the community against plans to criminalize spreading HIV intentionally, with the Center of AIDS Education and Prevention being the loudest voice in it. Now we have women openly and publicly bragging on TikTok about spreading all kinds of icky
Fecal matter.
to their revolving door of boys and how they take great pride in finding company for their misery. So no more spreading incurable diseases for a laugh. Oh no, anything but that. Reduction in false allegations. Yeah, maybe the ones born of women trying to cover up their cheating. Probably not for those completely fabricated. But yeah, no more off-your-face blowsies behind the outhouse that leave a bitter aftertaste for everyone involved. Oh no, anything but that. Freedom from nefarious gold diggers. Well, I doubt foodie calls are a thing of the past now, as these women never had the intention to dispense the cookie anyway. But women no longer wielding the gash like it's currency. Not that men have been almost begging women for the longest time to be more decent, demure, and discerning. So yeah, no more ma rules nonsense. Oh no, anything but that. More personal resources, time, money, agency to devote to one's own interest and growth. Well, you don't really need the 4B movement to keep your belt and your wallet closed to entitled broads who don't respect you. A notion those of my ilk hold in high regard. And now women are playing into our hands. Who'd thought I'd see the day? So yeah, oh no, anything but that. Men will have a cult group of higher quality traditional women to date and marry. And man-hating harpies destined to ruin more than just your day will be more easy to spot. And not just by the self-induced alopecia. I would never recommend marriage to anyone, and if you ever see me do it, I expect you to put me out of your misery. But men now having an easier time singling out the few women worth their time? Oh no, anything but that. Long-term positive effect for men who are ultimately spared family court injustice. Causality! No marriage, no divorce, no broken men with broken children they don't get to see. Sounds like winning to me. Oh no, anything but that. Increase in self-respect and personal accountability via the practice of abstinence and redirection of sexual energy towards other endeavors and goals. Since women generally don't have any self-respect and wouldn't know personal accountability if it bit them in the liposuction, I assume he's talking about men. Self-respect and accountability is a practice one must put energy in despite one's hindbrain urges, but the pursuit is most certainly easier without the outlet of your hindbrain urges nagging you. And I'm sure a lot of that sexual energy is going towards... Now, what's it called again? I think the Romans invented it. It's on the tip of my... Oh, yes! Masturbation! Which is indeed less expensive and time-consuming than chasing tails, so... Oh no! Anything but that! All in all, this is mere an admission by women that the most important and valuable commodity women have to offer is their box and gestational apparatus. And maybe working at Starbucks, but I don't chill over $14 for a cup of hot donkey
Whizz.
just to have something hive-mind-approved to cling to while I plug my OnlyFans on Instagram, so it doesn't really affect me. And it all seems to run counter to the feminist narrative of women being oh so much more than just a sex object or a birthing person. Their words, not mine. And if this wasn't all already stupid beyond description, this really only slightly affects the upper, depending on which statistic you wish to believe, 10 to 30% of men who were getting some from all those strongly annoying and independently pudgy femme fatales you'd find on Unhinged or Seeking Derangements. And these men have no incentive to care, and women will still queue up to polish their thunder behind the pool shed, for bee movement or not. So ultimately, men will be the overwhelming beneficiaries of a female sex drive.
That's like...
Please stop interrupting me. Please turn off the sprinklers. You're a grown-ass man.
I wanted to say funny.
Oh, thank you, Cupcake.
So, I was still doing...
Yes, Cupcake. We'll still be doing your bit.
Yay!
XY News. Dose of positivity just for Cupcake. Northern Ireland. Around 30, well, I guess that's 30 more than none, women from across Northern Ireland marched through Belfast city centre on Saturday 2 weeks ago in a bid to highlight the struggles faced by male victims of domestic
Disregard of bodily autonomy.
The initiative was organised by Men's Alliance Northern Ireland with the twin daughters of Tony Brown, a West Belfast man who was
Unalived.
by his girlfriend in his sleep, in attendance. Now let's see. 1 in 3, huh? 35%, huh? Domestic
Disregard of bodily autonomy.
is mostly reciprocal. The victims of it are spread out evenly amongst both sexes, with 70% of the time women being the initial instigators. So, technically, they are downplaying the problem as they protested. But hey! Positivity. Mexico. A blonde, blue-eyed, biological woman with feminine features and of healthy weight has won the Miss Universe beauty pageant. By the way, this is what she looks like without all the speckle. And I thought I had pores you can rent out as storage. The fact that she is neither a heavily obese, blue-haired, paraplegic, gender non-specific... Oh my god, who writes this?
Fecal matter.
That would be me. The fact that she is neither a heavily obese, blue-haired, paraplegic, gender non-specific person of diverse racial background with self-diagnosed autism, postmodern beliefs and affiliations, vitiligo, a loyalty card for Planned Parenthood, 3 baby daddies who are all in the pen, who identifies as a tri-gender, diaper-wearing scaly with childhood trauma, and an Yves Saint Laurent bag as the emotional support animal, nor violently ugly, nor a dude in a dress. Some say her election marks the end of wokeness. Now what an odd metric to measure that by, but I digress. So now that you're again permitting biological women who look like something some might actually wish to rest their eyes upon to win beauty pageants, are you going to get those biological women out of formerly male-only spaces anytime soon? Yeah, I didn't think so. And that shall be enough gushy feel-good nonsense. United Kingdom. People who repeatedly view
Content by groups of people the government deems undesirable uploaded in order to dupe easily emotionally manipulated individuals into great acts of disregard of bodily autonomy. Free speech, my
online could face up to 15 years behind bars in a move designed to tighten the laws tackling
duping easily emotionally manipulated individuals into great acts of disregard of bodily autonomy.
Here she comes again, the
Devouring Mother.
no independent thought allowed. The report starts off moderately reasonable, speaking of greater punishments for people doxing pigs and other officials. The side of me who wants to see these clowns to finally face the music of their own corruption wants to say that judges would probably become a lot less biased and heavy-handed overnight if we were to dox them more often. But let's leave the emotional decisions to the women and their sycophants and roll with no one should get doxed, period. But it all quickly goes off the rails, as it so often does when there's a bitter, resentful, and chronically underworked middle-aged white
Term for sexually promiscuous female generally considered derogative.
in the picture, demanding similarly harsh punishments for the people who watch, and I quote, far-right propaganda. In the current year in the UK and too many other places, far-right propaganda is everything. Right of this guy. Feel free to delude yourself that this doesn't concern you, but if you end up playing Wash My Back with Pookie, Ray Ray, and Brutus because you clicked on that 15-second Joe Rogan excerpt your wife's boyfriend sent you, you'll be sitting there with your on fire thinking, had I only listened to that yapping
Term for male homosexual commonly considered derogative.
with the goofy voice. Get out while you can. And that's when I realized the report I based this bit on is over 7 years old. But since the UK are indeed these days incarcerating people even longer than that for doing equally innocuous things, I just kept it in. You're welcome. Probably America. Women. So sweet, so kind, so demure.
How am I being threatening?
What?
Yeah,
What did you say?
I said that you were saying that I was homeless and that you didn't have any change to me the entire
I don't
time.
have any change, okay? I have no bills on me.
So,
I have no
okay,
change.
I was just literally even trying to tell you that your purse is on top of your car.
What?
Your purse, just look up. Yeah, I'm not homeless.
You're not homeless, well then why don't you just mind your own business, okay?
Okay, you're welcome.
I just wanted to leave that here as a friendly reminder to stop helping these entitled gracious females. It's not just a thankless pursuit, it's a dangerous one. So obey the priestess of the holy vagina and mind your own business.
Channel 69 XY News.
Oh, and just in case you needed to hear it just one more time, get out while you can.